Hi, I'm Cole Krasny from Woodbridge, Virginia in the USA. This lesson is for week 5 of Introduction to Music Production at Coursera.org. I'm going to demonstrate how to configure an EQ plugin to function like a large format mixing console EQ section, and then show you how to save that as a preset to use in later projects. I'll demonstrate using a light version of Ableton Live. I did some looking around on the internet for a good photo to use as a reference to create our EQ plugin. I had a hard time finding real mixers alongside a manual that went in-depth enough to explain the different buttons and parameters thoroughly. This image here is a very simple setup, but also a very effective and good example, and coincidentally the same image used by my teacher. We'll go through its knobs and button in order of the frequency that it manipulates, from low to high. This is the way it makes the most sense visually. On the top we have a high-pass filter button. It cuts the lows, which is why it's also known as a low-cut filter. High-pass filters are very drastic in their filtering. The frequencies eventually go to negative infinity decibels, the lower you go in octaves from that cutoff frequency. This high-pass filter on this mixer is set to 75 Hz, and it reduces the volume of the frequencies at a rate of 18 decibels per octave. This is great for removing those kind of low, rumbly, low-frequency noises from a recording that may have been induced. To the bottom, we have a low shelving filter. A shelving filter is less drastic in that once it hits the cutoff frequency, it drops or raises in a specified amount of decibels and then stays there rather than continuously diminishing like a pass filter. While pass filters are kind of like removal filters, a shelving filter is like a reduction filter. In this mixing board that I'm using, the frequency of the filter is fixed at 80 Hz, so let's set that. And the range between decibels on the mixer is between negative 15 decibels decrease and a positive 15 increase. Increasing this can help give a kind of boost on the bottom end, which can help bring up the levels of the bassier instruments. Now a low mid-range EQ, also known as a parametric EQ. It gives a kind of bell shape on the graph and deals with the mid-range frequency instruments, once again allowing you to boost or drop the decibels of those frequencies. On this example mixer, it has a range from 100 Hz to 2000 Hz, and also has the ability to boost it up 15 decibels or reduce it down 15 decibels. You can change the width or kind of frequency range of the bump with the Q section, or also bandwidth, some DAWs call it. This is neat because the example mixer doesn't give you this option, but by all means alter the width in any way you please. The next knob is a high mid-range EQ. This is another parametric EQ with its bell shape. This one's frequency range is from 400 Hz to 8000 Hz. So just a higher range with an unknown kind of default bandwidth, or Q. Once again, set that as you please. I'm going to do 1.25. Now on to our high shelving filter. It's fixed at 12 kHz, or 12,000 Hz, same thing. And once again, just like the low shelving filter, you can increase it up to 15 decibels, which is quite massive, and down negative 15 decibels. Now that you have this set up, you can use it as your default preset EQ plugin. So every time you open it, it has these values here waiting for you. I want to point out that just because all of these different types of filters are here, it doesn't mean you have to use them all. Any of them that are unnecessary to the mix, or just kind of on and not really altering any of the frequencies, should be turned off to conserve CPU resources that are being wasted by the plugin. Let's take this track I made and listen to it with and without my new EQ plugin. I already set all of the values to the way I like them, and made sure they stayed in between the parameters of the example mixing console EQ section. So here it is without the EQ. And here it is with the EQ.
You may notice that with the way I set it up, it doesn't sound as cluttered and the rhythm guitar isn't as in your face. The lows are much more pronounced. You can hear a boost in the kick drum and the bass guitar sampler. I have also brought down the highs in and above the 12K region. I didn't need the second one, the low shelving filter, so I turned it off, which would be U for unity on the mixing console. I hope this helps you with your future mixes. Thanks for watching.